I canceled my wedding because of my mother-in-law, and here's what happened. Anna had always dreamed of her wedding day, the perfect ceremony, the perfect dress, the perfect life. When Ethan proposed after 5 years together, everything seemed like it was falling into place. They had built a life together, a shared vision of the future. Ethan, her high school sweetheart, had always been supportive, attentive, and loving, or so she thought. Anna's excitement about the engagement was palpable. She could see herself walking down the aisle, her heart racing, as she saw Ethan waiting for her at the altar. She couldn't wait to share the news with her family and friends. Her mother, a woman who had always dreamed of a fairy tale wedding for her daughter, was just as ecstatic, helping Anna find the perfect bridal gown. The early days of wedding planning were blissful. Anna took charge of the details, choosing the venue, the flowers, the invitations. Ethan, though a bit distant when it came to the specifics, assured her that whatever she wanted was fine. He didn't offer much input, but Anna was determined to make everything perfect. Despite the occasional subtle disinterest, Anna was confident. She thought of the dress she'd wear, the kind of wedding she'd always dreamed about, and imagined how Ethan would be beside her, happy and proud. Choosing the wedding dress was a moment Anna would never forget. She and her mother spent hours at the bridal boutiques, trying on different gowns, analyzing each one with critical eyes. But when Anna put on the first dress that truly felt like her, it was as if the world had stopped. It was vintage, classic, and breathtaking, everything she had ever wanted. Anna sent Ethan a picture of herself in the dress, eagerly awaiting his response. She had imagined him seeing it and sharing her excitement, but his reply was indifferent. "Looks good." No exclamation, no compliments, just a simple, lukewarm response. Anna brushed it off, thinking he was just busy with work. Then came the surprise. Ethan's mother, Margaret, called. She had seen the pictures Anna had posted on social media and, despite not having been involved in any of the wedding planning, immediately demanded that Anna wear her own wedding dress instead. "Why don't you just wear the one I wore?" Margaret asked, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "It's still in perfect condition." Anna's heart sank. She had always known that Margaret had a strong presence in their lives, but this was something different. It was a demand, not a suggestion. The dress was a relic of the past, a symbol of Margaret's own past. Anna didn't want to wear it, especially since it was far from her own style. But when she voiced her reluctance, Margaret insisted, making it clear that it was not just a request, it was an expectation. Ethan's lack of response only made matters worse. He didn't side with Anna, nor did he defend her feelings. He just shrugged, saying it wasn't a big deal. As the days went by, Anna found herself dreading the growing tension between her and Ethan's mother. Every time they spoke about the wedding, Margaret subtly pushed for Anna to wear her dress, and Ethan, to Anna's growing frustration, always sided with his mother. Margaret's presence in their lives was overwhelming. She would show up uninvited to meetings with the wedding planner, offering unsolicited advice, often undermining Anna's decisions. She would constantly remind Ethan that he was the one who had to honor his family's traditions, that this was how things were done. Anna felt like a shadow in her own wedding planning, watching as the woman she was supposed to be forming her future with pushed her out of the picture. The strain reached a boiling point when Margaret, during a family dinner, casually mentioned that Anna was being unreasonable. "I just don't understand why you're being so stubborn about the dress," she said, her tone patronizing. "It's a family heirloom, and you should be proud to wear it." Ethan, ever the mediator, agreed with his mother. "Mom's right, Anna. You're overreacting." Anna's heart broke as she realized that Ethan was not on her side. He had always been her partner, but in that moment, it felt like she was facing this battle alone. As the days turned into weeks, Anna's anxiety grew. She had always believed in the sanctity of marriage, that a partnership was about mutual respect, love, and understanding. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized that she was being manipulated, not only by Margaret, but also by Ethan. His unwavering loyalty to his mother had always been there, but Anna had ignored the warning signs. In the quiet of the night, after a particularly heated argument with Ethan about the dress, Anna sat alone in their shared apartment, thinking about her relationship. She recalled the first time she had met Ethan's mother, how Margaret had seemed so friendly, welcoming, and warm. But now, all she could think about was how controlling and possessive she had become. Was this what their future would look like? Would she always be fighting for Ethan's attention, competing with his mother for his affection and respect? The idea was suffocating. The breaking point came when Margaret, uninvited, showed up at their apartment one afternoon, holding the wedding dress in her hands. Ethan was at work, and Anna was preparing for a meeting with the photographer. Margaret, with an air of finality, handed the dress to Anna. "This is the dress you're wearing," she said firmly. "I don't want to hear any more about your dress. This is what's best." Anna's pulse quickened, her heart racing with a mix of anger, disbelief, and sorrow. She had tried so hard to maintain peace, to understand why Margaret was so insistent, but now, it was clear. This wasn't about tradition or love. It was about control. Margaret wanted to dominate, to ensure that everything was done the way she had imagined it. When Ethan returned home that evening and saw his mother's dress hanging in their bedroom, he said nothing. He simply nodded, as though everything had been decided for him. Anna snapped. "I can't do this anymore," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "I'm not just your mother's puppet, Ethan. I'm your fiancé, and I deserve more than this." Ethan's eyes widened, but there was no apology, no acknowledgement of her pain. He simply stood there, paralyzed by his loyalty to his mother. The argument escalated quickly. Ethan, feeling cornered and defensive, raised his voice. "You're being unreasonable," he yelled. "Why can't you just do this one thing for me?" In a moment of pure frustration, Anna slapped him across the face. It wasn't something she had ever imagined doing, but the anger and hurt that had been building up exploded in that one moment. Ethan stood frozen, his cheek stinging from the slap. He didn't move, didn't speak. His silence spoke volumes. "I'm done," Anna whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I can't marry someone who can't stand up for me. I won't be part of this twisted dynamic anymore." The days following the breakup were a blur. Anna moved out of their shared apartment, retreating to her parents' house, feeling both a sense of relief and deep sorrow. Her mother and sister rallied around her, offering support, but the pain of losing the future she had imagined was overwhelming. Ethan tried calling, texting, and even showing up at her parents' house, but Anna couldn't bring herself to speak to him. She needed space to grieve the loss of the relationship and space to figure out who she was outside of Ethan and his family. As time passed, Anna began to heal. She started therapy to process the emotional toll the relationship had taken on her. Her therapist helped her understand the depths of the emotional manipulation she had experienced. She learned about boundaries, self-worth, and the importance of standing up for herself, even when it felt uncomfortable. In time, Anna rediscovered her own identity. She began to focus on her career, her friendships, and the things that made her happy. Slowly but surely, she started to find peace. Anna's heart eventually healed, and she found herself open to the idea of new relationships, though she was careful. She was no longer the naive girl she once was. She had learned valuable lessons from her experience with Ethan and his mother. She was determined not to lose herself in another relationship again. One evening, as she was out with friends, she met someone new, someone kind, understanding, and respectful of her independence. He wasn't perfect, but he treated her with the love and respect she had always deserved. Ethan continued to reach out to Anna for months, but she had moved on. She had forgiven him in her heart, not for him, but for herself. She needed to let go of the past to embrace her future. As she walked away from her old life, Anna finally understood what it meant to love herself, to set boundaries, and to never settle for anything less than the respect and partnership she deserved.